Unfortunately, they're going to tow him, and then he'll jump start it.
Paul Tracy losing positions quickly after a good battle up at the front. Alex Zanardi jumps off the pole and takes the lead and continues on.
Christian Fittipaldi and the Budweiser IndyCar. Hot enough for you?
With new spark plugs, you get improved performance for a while. But only Bosch Platinum has a pure platinum center electrode that's heat fused. So Bosch Platinum reaches its self-cleaning temperature faster for full engine power and improved fuel efficiency over a longer performance life. Which means you'll replace a lot of other things before you change your Bosch Platinums. Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
The road to IndyCar racing starts at the Toyota Atlantic Series. Past champions like Ray Hall, Andretti, and Sullivan have taken this very same route. That's why Toyota is committed to the Toyota Atlantic Championship, because we may not know who the next series champion will be, but we know where he's headed.
Goodyear AquaTread revolutionized wet traction design. Now Goodyear introduces the first tire with a lifetime tread life warranty. The new all-season InfiniTread. Its tread is guaranteed for as long as you own your car. Call 1-800-GOODYEAR.
Right now, get a $40 introductory manufacturer's rebate from Goodyear when you buy 4 InfiniTread radials, Goodyear's longest-wearing passenger tire. That's $40 on 4 Goodyear InfiniTreads. But hurry, this Goodyear offer ends soon.
The Budweiser 200. This ABC Sports exclusive brought to you by Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you. Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug. Toyota Motorsports, our minds are always racing. And Goodyear, #1 in tires.
Well, while we've been away, a couple of things have happened. You'll notice that Scott Pruitt has dropped back in the field. He got a wheel up over one of the curbs here, and here it is as Vassar was pressuring him, and he just lost it.
Well, I think I saw something in it. Don't forget, right prior to that, we had seen right there on the car on the left-hand side, see the oil in the middle of the track, right there, that little shiny spot. He just got in the oil, got it around a little bit wide, did a great job of catching, and I think that came from Raul Bozel's car, you see in the top of the screen with the flash.
Yeah, and that is one of the other things that happened. Raul Boisel apparently had an engine problem and pulled off the course. Gary?
Well, it was certainly not a case of anything bottoming for Brian Herta. The bodywork is off. The car is in the pits. Billy Camphausen, the lead official for IndyCar, came running up immediately as they started to service the car, and he said, no, this car will not be able to leave. We don't know what's happened, if they've broken a seal or something, but it's very hot back there, and the crew is investigating right now. But here's another tough break for a driver who had a great place to start this race from the second row. Jack?
Gary, let's update you on Paul Tracy. He did bump start his car, got back onto pit road. Team Penske went and took a look at the rear wing area. Now, they had this wing out of the canvas bag ready to replace it because on Tracy's, on the right side flap, it was broken away. But Chuck Sprague made the determination that they would rather not suffer the penalty for having to change the wing, and the penalty would have been losing track position, valuable time, and most likely a lap. So they simply sent Tracy back out, wounded wing and all.
So there are a couple of the issues here in the early going. 11 laps are complete. The scheduled distance here is 98 laps. And we keep an eye on Greg Moore, who suddenly slows down himself and turns down in the pits. Interesting situation here at the start. A bunch of mechanicals.
Boy, exciting here in the early laps with everything that's happened. Everybody seems to have problems. He almost looked like he was making an attempt to pass Al Unser Jr. there, and the next thing you know, he's in the pits and coming in very slowly. That's way under the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit.
And coming in just behind, it looks like Paul Tracy is back for a visit once again. So maybe that bounce against the wall did a lot more than they originally thought. Paul Tracy, who was very much a contender. It's Zanardi, Vassar, Ribeiro. And then Jill DeFerrin, and then Scott Pruitt has dropped back to 5th place. Greg Moore, pretty slow movement there.
Yeah, when they're playing with that rear body cover like that, they want to look underneath. You got a serious problem.
On board with Parker Johnstone. This gives you a good idea of the circuit here as they make a turn through the corners that bring them out onto the front stretch. And Danny, maybe you can take us around.
Okay, well, they just came through a fairly quick corner. They're coming onto the straight. That's 3rd gear. They accelerate up into top gear here, and you'll see them going down into this early chicane there. This is really tricky because it's concrete, a little bit rough. You see his head bouncing around, and now you see the pavement change right there on the asphalt. Accelerate up, very quick corner here, quick there, and this is where Jimmy Vassar, Scott Pruitt got on the oil right there. Accelerate up into a slower corner here, drop it down a gear. Hard on the gas. Now this is an important corner complex because it comes onto the back straightaway. Little right, little left, and another little right, and it's all flat out, but it depends on what the car is doing, how smoothly you get out there. Very fast left and right complex there. Do that in 5th gear, down here into 3rd or 4th, depending on how they have it geared, and accelerate up through the gears. See those dark clouds overhead? I'm sure they don't enjoy looking at those.
They could very much figure into the mix. 1.95 miles around, 9 turns, most of them to the right. Emerson Fittipaldi closing up on the back of Parker Johnstone now. Well, Paul Tracy may have more trouble than we originally thought, Jackaroo.
Well, Paul, the wounded wing wasn't the problem. In fact, it didn't break the rear quarter, the lower wishbone, until you went back out.
Yeah, you know, I just screwed up and slid off the track and hit the tire barrier, and the wing was torn up, but then after a couple laps, it must have been the lower wishbone that was fractured, and it gave up. It's disappointing for the Marlboro crew. I feel like an idiot, but you know, we'll go on to Cleveland and see how we do there.
Well, in your defense, Danny Sullivan and the team up in the booth reported there might have been some oil up in that area from Raul Boisel.
Well, it's hard to say. Hard to say what happened. I slid off the track and nobody else did, so you know, it's disappointing for our team, but hopefully we can turn it around at Cleveland.
Say what you want, guys. It's awfully tough for a driver to shoulder the blame by himself.
Well, his teammate Al Unser Jr., there you see him started 12th and is now 6th, just behind Scott Pruitt. Robbie Gordon started 14th and is now 8th, but Al Unser Jr. is definitely challenging on Scott Pruitt's car. We had indicated the problems, and you saw them with Greg Moore. Here's Gary Gerald.
Yeah, disappointment seems to be an early theme in this race for any number of drivers. The rookie Greg Moore has been sitting here for some time now, and they're methodically working their way through the right side pod, changing all the electronic components that they can. They don't know a specific reason, but the engine just died. They've about completed that task. They'll soon find out if anything will get them back here to soldier through some laps for the rest of the afternoon, Paul.
Well, we're watching Al Unser Jr. and Scott Pruitt.
You know, Paul, one of the things I'm thinking about Scott Pruitt, when he slid, he went across that curve. Those are raised a little bit. I wonder if he upset the balance in that car a little bit, because he was still in front of Andre Ribeiro. He lost 1 spot to Jimmy Vassar, but he's dropped back quite substantially since that time. I wonder if he's knocked the balance out a little bit on that car.
You hearing me?
And of course, when we saw him get up and over that curve, that's exactly what I was mentioning. Lost it in the oil, then jumped across it, and who knows what that does to the under tray of the car or the handling. So Al Unser Jr. works at the back of Pruitt, battle for 5th place at the top. Nothing changes. Zanardi is the leader. His teammate Jimmy Vassar, the points leader, has moved into 2nd place. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Brian Herta, we were hoping that this would be a day with better fortune would shine on you. This has been a tough season. Were they able to pinpoint the problem?
Well, it has been a tough season, Gary, and you know, we were looking around, but we couldn't tell exactly where the oil was coming out of the engine, and you know, there's no point in putting a car out on the track that's going to put oil down, because it's just going to make it dangerous for everyone else out there. So best thing is take the shell car back to the truck and see if we can figure out what happened.
We'll see you in Cleveland.
You will.
Brian Herta.
Alan Jr. continues to work on Scott Pruitt as they've just flashed across the line. 17 laps complete here in Portland. You know, what I'm wondering, if we're having a bunch of little electrical problems, in fact, I was asking Richard Buck, who is the crew chief for Al Unser Jr. right there, this morning, when you run in that heavy a downpour as they did, what do you do about electrical connections? Do you try and get them apart and cleaned out? He said most of them are military and therefore are fairly not affected at all, in fact, by the wet, but there are a couple that are not, and so you try and get them as clear as you can. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, as you watch this spirited contest between Al Unser Jr. trying to overtake Scott Pruitt, you were absolutely right, Danny Sullivan. Pruitt's car has gone way, way loose. They seem to think, as you do, that it was by going over the barrier. Right now, Scott says, I don't know if I can hold on to this thing. They've said back out of it a little bit. We'll make the changes. We want to go to the fuel window. Should be about lap 31. Got plenty of horsepower down the straightaway, though, guys.
It's turned out to be a fairly even battle here. Ford Cosworth versus Mercedes-Benz as 17 laps complete in the Budweiser 200, and Zanardi has led right from the green.
Enter the Performance Zone with split-fire Performance V spark plugs.
If you hit your passing gear, you're gone. The difference in gas mileage has been fantastic.
Split-fire Performance V spark plugs mean better performance, more horsepower, and better mileage. So say the experts and the people who use them.
They're the best plugs I ever put in my car.
Enter the Performance Zone only with split-fire Performance Vs, guaranteed.
Every few years, the world gathers to witness an unparalleled sports spectacle, the Truckathlon. And to compete, you have to have a Ford Ranger 4x4, because you'll need its switch-on four-wheel drive for truck long jump. It's four-wheel anti-lock brakes for truck discus. And it's whopping 4-liter V6 for truck hurdles. The Ford Ranger 4x4. You can't win without one.
Next event, truck pole vault.
Yes!
Before cars had phones, cup holders, or even roofs, Mobil Oil was there. When Lindbergh crossed the Atlantic, Mobil was on board. Mobil was in the world's first minivans, in the first space shuttle, and in the tanks of Desert Storm. So if you think that all oils are alike, think about something. At Mobil, we've been changing oil for over 125 years.
The new Kawasaki Vulcan 1500 Classic, with the biggest V-twin ever to hit the asphalt. You've never felt anything like it.
We're back at the Budweiser 200, Portland International Raceway, and this fight continues between Pruitt and Unser Jr. for fifth. Gary Gerald?
Greg Moore and the car have come back under the canopy here at the transporter. What proved to be the problem?
Some kind of electronics failure. I'm not sure exactly what it was. It seems like the same kind of thing that happened to us in Rio, but it's too bad for the whole Players Forsyth team. You know, we were running not too bad. Our plan was just to run around the middle of the race until the middle of the race, and you know, make sure that the car was there at the end, because this race seems to take the best of them and took us today.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks.
Yeah, he's got a lot of go-karting on this track. In fact, he said maybe over 20,000 miles of go-karting here. That is his fourth DNF of the year, and that's after a perfect season in the Indy Lights last year, taking him to the championship.
Well, you see here, the second car in this, the red and white one, of course, is Al Jr. still trying to find a way past Scott Pruitt. This is a tough track with a fast car to pass. What I think he's doing right now is he's trying to force Scott to make a mistake, because he appears Scott seems to have the measure of him, or at least be equal or a little bit better on the straightaway. The ideal spot is, of course, at the end of the straightaway to try to outbreak him. But I think right now Al's just trying to force him into a mistake.
Beautiful view as they make that curve down the backstretch here.
See, and Al's not close enough there to really get underneath him. Plus, that's a slight touch of the brakes in fifth gear. Now, where he wants it is right here. He tries to get in close underneath him, but Scott Pruitt seems to pull out just enough there that he can hold him off. And then, of course, we'll see Scott here. He comes down and he'll move over a little bit in the middle.
Yeah, but let's look just ahead. See, those tires are beginning to shine. We're also getting a couple of rain reports from the spotters out on the course. You can't tell anything on the circuit yet.
No, and they've got enough heat in those tires right now to not worry about that until it really starts sprinkling enough to cover the surface.
So Scott Pruitt and Al Unser Jr. battle for 5th place. Right ahead of them is the battle that is beginning to develop between Andre Ribeiro and Gil DeFerrin for 3rd at the same time. The leader is still Zanardi. 2nd place, his teammate, Jimmy Vasser. Well, look at Al there. Al's closer.
He's closer.
Nope.
But that's such a fast corner there. You only lightly touch the brakes in 5th. But he really wants him to know he's there. He's trying to get him to make a mistake. Where he wants to run fast is out of this corner. If he can stay up underneath him here and stay close, he can have a shot into that chicane. He's close, but I don't know if it's close enough. He's going to look. Scott protected that in a nice way.
Boy, look at this. Is Gugelman, Robbie Gordon, the whole gang coming through here.
Christian Fittipaldi, Emerson Fittipaldi.
This is about 7th through 12th that you're watching. Gil DeFerrin was just able to move out and around Andre Ribeiro, and that puts him into 3rd place while we're watching this fight. Gugelman in this battle is 7th place. See, there's some raindrops on this lens, but not nearly enough to make a difference. But you got a glimpse there of what might. A lot of rubber on the outside as Christian Fittipaldi comes sliding past.
You see a few drops right there on that. The only thing that'll bother right now is the guys that are running on Firestone tires, because they don't feel as confident with their new tire as the Goodyear runners.
As he starts his lap, just ride here with Christian Fittipaldi. As Parker Johnstone comes around Gugelman, so Fittipaldi now being accompanied by Parker Johnstone. They're both moving up. They've moved up into 8th and 9th place respectively. ABC stations.
Christian Fittipaldi and the Budweiser IndyCar. Hot enough for you?
Goodyear AquaTread revolutionized wet traction design. Now Goodyear introduces the first tire with a lifetime tread life warranty. The new all-season InfiniTread. Its tread is guaranteed for as long as you own your car. Call 1-800-GOODYEAR.
Right now, get a $40 introductory manufacturer's rebate from Goodyear when you buy 4 InfiniTread radials, Goodyear's longest wearing passenger tire. That's $40 on 4 Goodyear InfiniTreads. But hurry, this Goodyear offer ends soon.
Look Looking for something seriously funny? Well, expose yourself to this. Hey, is that Jason Alexander from Seinfeld? It is! Hey, George. Nice hair. Yeah. It's a grown-up comedy.
Does anyone have a glass of water?
Now he's mutton extremely short.
That'll make you quiver. Join Sandra Bullock on an all-new Muppets Tonight, followed by videos ABC Sunday.
Thursday, we know cigarettes are dangerous. Then why do 3,000 teenagers start smoking every day? Peter Jennings reporting, Never Say Die, Thursday on ABC.
Life is sweet. You want to savor every moment. And at Publix, we want to help you do just that. Now, isn't that food for thought?
Home improvement only on 28 Tampa Bay.
Tonight on ABC, it's brand new comedy with the return of Muppets Tonight, with guest Sandra Bullock, followed by America's Funniest Home Videos and Lois and Clark. And then, while the other networks are showing rerun movies, ABC has the network premiere of The Marrying Man. That's all tonight, right here on ABC. Well, it's Alex Zanardi that leads the fight here, followed by his teammate Jimmy Vassar. Joe DeFerrin runs in third place and is beginning to work very hard on the back end of Vassar's car. You saw a very quick glimpse of Mark Blundell as he moves around Stefan Johansson. They are running back in the field. There is the leader of the race. That's Alex Zanardi. And Jimmy Vassar is actually about a full straightaway back now. So Zanardi, leading by 17.2 seconds, has really managed to pull out a lead, but now more and more he encounters slower traffic. At the same time, his teammate and the current points leader, Jimmy Vassar, has a very fast Joe DeFerrin worrying him just behind. Now, there is the leader of the race. He comes across the line. And we look up for the second red car, which will be that of Jimmy Vassar. Look at this. These are all cars that Vassar has already, or that Zanardi's already gotten around. There is Jimmy Vassar with Joe DeFerrin right behind him. Now, part of what may be a problem for Vassar this weekend is, Gary, he's had an inner ear problem.
Yes, he has, Paul. In fact, it was a result of the qualifying accident he had in Detroit 2 weeks ago. He began to feel the impact of it, or the effects of it, late in the race on Belle Isle. Then the next week, they were scheduled to test at Mid-Ohio. He took one lap in the car. He had to climb out. He said, I couldn't even keep the race car on the asphalt. He had a slight case of vertigo. The touchy thing about it, according to Dr. Steve Olvey of the medical staff, you never know how long it'll last. There's nothing they could do for it. But in a matter of days, it did clear up. Thursday of this week, he got medical clearance to drive. He's hanging on to second place. His teammate, Zanardi, who has the lead, will pit in one more lap. And then 2 laps from now, we expect to see Vassar in for his first service of the day.
Well, we're back on that battle for 5th place as Al Unser Jr. and Scott Pruitt are both trying to get around Eliseo Salazar.
Well, that move almost cost Scott that spot. And, of course, traffic always does, but that was unbelievable. And luckily, he then blocked Al Jr., so he kind of gave that advantage back to Scott Pruitt.
Report from the circuit now is that the rain is really coming down in turn 3. They're on the front stretch as Al Unser Jr. in 6th place continues to work on Scott Pruitt. Boy, this has been a terrific fight the last couple of laps here.
Well, they're 2 very good drivers there. And,
what about the rain just ahead, though?
Well, they're in turn 3 right now. I don't see it really being wet. I think
well, they made it safely through those areas, and at the same time, the pit stops are, as we heard the indication, the target team was thinking of coming in here within a lap. So what do? You stay on the dries for the time being.
Well, look at the rain now. Now, if the circuit gets wet, if it only rains over in one part of the track, Al Jr.'s going up underneath.
This time he may have a... Well, he uses that curve all the way. What a nice pass that was.
That was a real good pass there. But if the circuit goes wet in just one spot, then they'll stay on slick tires. If it goes wet all the way around, obviously they'll go on to wets. But if it's just over in turn 3, you see they're a little bit more shiny on the tires.
Andre Ribeiro, he comes into the pits. He was running 4th. Jack?
And Paul, looks as if Ribeiro will stay with the slick tires, but the rain, just as he pits, starts to unload on pit road. Al Unser Jr.'s crew getting ready as well. As Ribeiro has been completed, lights up the tires, he goes back out. But this could be a problem because now the other leaders, Jr., DeFerrin, the rest of them, have to see what happens.
And what did you see DeFerrin as he just rocketed by Jimmy Vasser and picked up 2nd place?
Yeah, I think that Jimmy probably had a little trouble getting power down, and DeFerrin got that.
Let's go to Gary.
Leader is in. He won't be the leader much longer. He had a 17-second advantage. They put the slicks on. They've made a 13.2-second stop, they being the team servicing Alex Zanardi.
And an interesting decision, a fascinating decision with the rain pouring on the main straightaway. Well, it's really raining almost everywhere now. Jill DeFerrin comes in, Jack.
And the team was confused for a minute. First they went to reins. They set the reins up. Then they went to slicks. They, too, are going to stay with the slick tires. A quick stop as Al Unser Jr. went by because he'll complete his stop, as will Robbie Gordon and also Scott Pruitt. And now, folks, it is really beginning to rain. Al Unser Jr.'s crew, Emerson Fittipaldi pulls in front of him. They are going to rain tires. Al Unser Jr. will choose the rain tires. This is the first exchange. This is typical Penske. Let's gamble, and he's going to do it.
Zanardi having trouble getting up to speed. Cold tires. Neat pull by the Penske team.
Well, I think you've got to go there, but I think what everybody's doing is they're looking.
DeFerrin in trouble.
He'll get back on there, but it is very slippery. I think what they're doing is they're looking off into the distance. They're seeing that blue sky up there, and they're gambling, the guys that are on slicks, that this is just a cloud burst that's going to dampen the track, and they don't want to have to make a second stop. What's happening with Al Jr. is he's figuring, hey, I'm going to see how many spaces I can get back up with those wet tires, take advantage of it, hopefully get a big lead, and then make another stop.
So with those pit stops, 2 cars have not come in yet. That's Parker Johnstone and Christian Fittipaldi. So on the circuit, the official scoring there, Scott Pruitt is off the track now. So what decision do you make? There is some blue sky overhead. Danny referred to that. But if you don't know the weather patterns here exactly, and of course there are quite a few mountains in the area, Mount Hood and Mount St. Helens, of course, lie just off to the north of the track here, that can also affect that weather. Look at Zanardi as he's trying to get around here and finally get it back up to speed, but everyone has really come off the race pace. Christian makes a move in there.
I think what we're going to have to do is just see whether the guys that went on wets get the advantage or the guys on the slicks, and you'll have to let this play out a little bit, see if it gets wetter or if the track actually starts to dry, because as we saw early, it will dry very quickly once these cars are running around if there's no more raindrops coming down.
Well, you know, we have the Honda Helicam up over the top of the circuit as we watch a continuing struggle for Alex Zanardi here. And they're saying that this is really a brief shower only. And Christian Fittipaldi, though, has taken advantage of the opportunities that have been availed him and really been charging up through the field. So Alex Zanardi and the rest have to figure out what tires they want to stay on with 33 laps complete here in the Budweiser 200.
We learn a lot through research and testing. Meet Honda's version of the laboratory rat.
What'd you
get?
Chicken nuggets.
Mine? Chicken nuggets? No.
Wendy's 5-piece crispy chicken nuggets are such a great deal at 99 cents.
Oh, what?
Everybody's eating them.
At 99 cents, you might want to order 2.
Get 5 Wendy's chicken nuggets now, just 99 cents every day.
Hi, I'm Buddy Parrott. You may not know it, but radiators can build up rust and sludge that will cause leaks and cooling system failure. So, if you don't want to end up like this fella, then use Restorer's Radiator Restorer, Sealer, Conditioner, and stop leaks fast. Radiator Restorer keeps radiators clean. It's environmentally safe and works with regular antifreeze. Don't be left behind. With Radiator Restorer, you'll stay on the road. Stop leaks in seconds with Radiator Restorer.
Target teammates, Alex Zanardi and Jimmy Vassar.
Alex? Hey, there's nobody better. I mean, he was born to drive.
I'm new to the Target team, but Jimmy has made me feel right at home.
Alex is the fastest thing on 4 wheels. Really.
Words cannot describe how I feel about Jimmy.
My brother told me to watch his chicken nuggets for a minute so no one eats them. But when someone gets nuggets, it's hard not to try one.
Now get 5 all-white meat Wendy's chicken nuggets for 99 cents.
Who ate my nuggets? Steve Thomas.
Members of the U.S. Olympic swim team take on the world at a pool party in California. And the world's greatest bicycle race gets rolling Saturday on Wide World.
Well, Alex Zanardi back at the front of the field after the pit stops. Christian Fittipaldi assumed the lead on the stops by the fact that he was able to stay out a little longer than everyone else. But take a look at this. Jimmy Vassar slid off the course just a few moments ago and stopped dead. So he's got a serious problem now with his championship.
Yeah, here he is in car. He comes down. Oh, he just lost it going in.
Ooh, some bad noises.
Yeah. I don't know if he hit a marker there or whatever. I wish that marshal wouldn't stand by the car because somebody else could do the exact same thing in the same spot. That's a very quick section right there. You only come down, touch the brakes, and go into 5th gear.
Let me tell you, it's raining there. It's raining over on the front stretch, too, isn't it, Gary?
Yes, indeed it is. Christian Fittipaldi, as you indicated, was into the pits. They stayed on the dry tires, the slick surface, no grooves. Michael Andretti, his teammate, just came in and also did the same. And it is raining much harder now on the front straightaway, and we're seeing rooster tails for the first time as they scream by us, Phil.
Now, there's Christian Fittipaldi, who, as we'd indicated for a while, picked up the lead, only fell to 6th place behind Emerson, his uncle. So the lineup now is Zanardi, Unser Jr., Robbie Gordon is up to 3rd, Jill DeFerrin is 4th. And as the rain falls here, it is really creating havoc with the different decisions being made by these teams. Jack?
Well, Paul, this is a typical Penske move. I had talked to Richard Buck, and I said, how tough was it making the decision to go to slicks or rains? He says, Jack, believe it or not, we talked that scenario out and said, if we got the reports and believed the reports we had early in the morning that rain would continue, we were prepared and felt that by our first stop we were going to have to go to rain. So when it began to sprinkle, we made the commitment for both Fittipaldi, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Al Jr., and look how well they're doing now on the rains.
Al Unser Jr. runs in 2nd, is just able to carve up the rest of the field. Oh, no, Scott Pruitt, our other starter in the front row. Zanardi is the pole sitter. He leads it, but Pruitt has had just a horrible weekend here. He was on the pole until almost the end of the qualifying session yesterday, and then this morning's warm-up. He had a problem that qualifying, blew an engine, so he wasn't able to finish the session. Saw his pole taken away by Zanardi, and then he got into the wall this morning, and now he sits by the edge of the course. Gary?
A front wing has been replaced for Jimmy Vassar after he got a tow to get restarted. It's just pulled in here. They're fastening down the remaining bolts on the nose. They do a very quick job on this, but there was damage to that other wing. Now, coming off the jacks, and Vassar will head back out.
Well, as we watch the leader out, apparently going to cost him dearly. Al Unser Jr. in 2nd made up 6 seconds on the last lap and started the lap only 8 seconds behind, but the sun just came out on the front stretch.
Well, there you see Al Jr. in the red and white car on the left of your screen, just coming in behind Zanardi. But the interesting thing is Vassar had the off. He still stayed on slick tires, so they still are assuming that it's going to drive pretty fast. You can see it already starting to drive on the concrete, and concrete, of course, drives faster than the asphalt, and you see how the tires weren't as slick anymore, so maybe their gamble's going to play off. We're going to have to see it play out.
Al Unser Jr. moves in a battle for the lead. Two different styles of tire. Unser Jr. on Rains. The slicks are on Zanardi's car. That's P.J. Jones in the Dan Gurney Eagle just behind them. Not part of the fight, but he's been able to keep up with it. And Al Unser Jr., as they get over to a section that appears to be relatively dry, couldn't for a part there keep pace with Zanardi, but can he here? Remember, this is where he made the pass on Vassar earlier, and it is wetter in this area. But nope.
Boy, he's all over him, though. He is all over him. He's looking for a spot. And see right here, he's going to just come up underneath him. See Zanardi's car dark there. He was trying to get some traction, put a little throttle down. Those slick tires just jump by.
Quite a bit of water line on the course down at the end of the front straightaway here. Jack Arute?
Well, Paul, let's update you. You might wonder why. Maybe is there a problem with the lack of good faith on the Firestone rain tires after we saw their performance in Detroit. You mentioned Firestone brought a brand new tire here, but they don't have a lot of testing. They had some additional testing at Detroit, the input from the rain there. But according to most of the Firestone teams I've spoken to, they said, no, it's not a question of that. We feel much like Danny Sullivan said, if we can keep the heat in the slicks, this is just a passing rain shower, and we'll be to the better once the track dries off.
Well, Al Unser Jr. now has a drying circuit under him as he sits on those rain tires. And Zanardi, while having fallen behind, is now kind of waiting station on Al Unser Jr. as they work through traffic. It would seem to me that logic for Zanardi would be to just let the course dry out a little bit and then go on the attack.
Well, he's not losing that much touch to him, but we saw him dive into the chicane that time. He locked up trying to get back under Al Jr. Of course, I think that's because it's a drier spot. There he is. He's still right behind him. He's not losing touch with him. So, as I said, I think we'll have to see this scenario play out and see what happens with the track.
And now Zanardi makes his move in a section that has dried, and he gets past Little Al.
Great racing there.
I'll tell you what, his teammate lies just ahead of him. Jimmy Vassar is now 2 cars ahead. That's Lawson that they move around now. And again, here is where the rain tire is hurting Al Unser Jr. It's dry down in this section. So Zanardi comes back to the lead and takes advantage of his dry tires on the dry half of the circuit. Oh, is this terrific. Back and forth, and it's got to be driving the tacticians in the pits absolutely crazy to try to figure out what tire you should be on, Jack Arute.
Well, we're watching as Scott Pruitt's team goes and takes on slicks once again. But there you can see the way he lights those tires up. We're going to check into this and try and find out why he had to come back in.
So Scott Pruitt comes in out on slicks. Apparently everybody now thinks that the track is going to dry. I don't know what they're using. That Al Unser Jr. trying to cool them, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right. He dove down there where it was wet. You saw the spray come up. He's trying to cool the tires down. He wants to keep them cool. They get too hot. Wets go off. He'll lose grip.
I was about to say, I'm not really sure why they are making the judgment. Al Unser Jr. is obviously trying to stay on these wet tires, and there are still a lot of dark clouds hanging around the track. But for the moment, at least, it's Alex Zanardi back at the head of the field.
Goodyear AquaTread revolutionized wet traction design. Now Goodyear introduces the first tire with a lifetime tread life warranty. The new all-season InfiniTread. Its tread is guaranteed for as long as you own your car. Call 1-800-GOODYEAR.
Right now, get a $40 introductory manufacturer's rebate from Goodyear when you buy 4 InfiniTread radials, Goodyear's longest wearing passenger tire. That's $40 on 4 Goodyear InfiniTread. But hurry, this Goodyear offer ends soon.
People are selling tools today on the market that I don't even think they know where they're made, and they're not a quality tool. One thing about the Craftsman tool, it's made here, and you know the quality's good.
1,600 Craftsman hand tools, made in America, guaranteed forever.
something happens to it, you can take it back, and you know where to take it back because you know where it come from.
Only at Sears.
Experience the excitement of your favorite Olympic events, now in commemorative cans of Bud, Bud Light, and Bud Ice. Better yet, if you get one of these special gold cans, you could see the games live in Atlanta. Look for Grab the Gold details wherever you see Bud Family Olympic packages. Just another part of the Bud World Party.
On the battleground called motorsports, no one can claim success like Ford. Because no one races and wins in more places than Ford. But have you seen what we're doing with all the winnings?
So Al Unser Jr. suddenly comes into the pits, Jackaroo.
And they run the gamble, but it didn't come out to their liking. Al Unser Jr. had to come in, take the rain tires off, and go back to the slicks. This was costly. They gambled. Richard Buck and the rest of the team, along with Roger Penske, made the call. But they had to go back to the slick because this track's dry enough.
Al Unser Jr. was not the only one to head into the pits. P.J. Jones was in, Emerson Fittipaldi was in, Robbie Gordon was in, all going over to the dry tires as we look at Jill DeFerrin, who currently runs second behind Zanardi. And by my count, I don't think there's anyone else left on dry tires, on wet tires, and certainly none of the front runners. They have all come back to slick racing tires, and it is dry for the moment in most parts of the course, though not necessarily offline.
Now, they've got a pretty dry track here. You don't want to run wide. You can see there's kind of a line through there. We're on board with Bobby Rahal, who, by the way, started 18th and is now up to 4th place. So he just kept steady through all that stuff and didn't go off, didn't slide off, and he's gained a lot of spots.
The old professor is a great tactician. In fact, that's what he studies as a hobby. He enjoys studying the tactics, especially of the Vietnam War.
And look at that sky now. I don't see any black clouds there.
Whoa! Whoa! Car way off. That's P.J. Jones.
Although it's hard to tell.
Yeah, he's deep in the tire barrier. But you certainly, well, you can see kind of the number, the 98 on the car, and his head moving around, which gives you to believe everything's fine. In fact, you almost take it for granted that when they get into the barrier like that, they're still going to be fine. Here it was, Emerson Fittipaldi.
See, just got off that line. See, the line was, whoa, see how he accelerates in that grass? But what happens is the line, he just went a little wide, and it's just damp there, and he got on there, got the car sideways. That's all she wrote.
So P.J. Jones ends his day up in the tire barrier. There is Christian Fittipaldi, who is now challenging for second place. Jill DeFerrin just ahead of him. For second. Zanardi is the leader. Michael Andretti still trying to move up. He is now 13th. Remember, he had a problem earlier, the teammate to this car, Christian Fittipaldi. And the officials of the race have taken a good look at the position that P.J. Jones's car is in, and they're going to use a crane to get him out of there, so they won't need to go to a full course yellow. We continue to have a green racetrack.
Well, they're going to use a crane to get the car out, not P.J.
Now, P.J., not exactly, like you said.
Yeah. He's a pretty stout guy, but he's not that big.
Well, for me, they might need the crane. Into the festival curves alongside Eliseo Salazar, who now splits the battle. Gary Gerald, do you have an update on P.J.?
Just checking with John Ward and the crew to see if they had talked with him. They said, yes, indeed, they had. And they speculated, just as Danny thought, that maybe just got offline, caught a patch of wet there, and that he lost all traction and took that ride into the tires. But P.J. obviously fine in talking to the crew, though disappointed.
You know, one of the things, Paul, that I'm the most impressed with, they got these new tire walls here that they've They kind of interlace the tires and wrap them different. And I'm telling you, those things really seem to work because that car doesn't seem badly damaged. You didn't hit it, and that was a fast accident right there, and it seems okay.
Jimmy Vasser, as you saw him drop to the inside of Mashusta and continue on. Jimmy Vasser is still trying to stay in a points position, but he's not anywhere near that now. He runs 21st on the circuit. His teammate Alex Zanardi is the leader. DeFerrin in second. Christian Fittipaldi is third, followed by Ray Hall and then Andre Ribeiro. 47 laps are complete. Vasser totally out of a point-scoring position. He got in similar trouble 2 weeks ago on Belle Isle in Detroit. Finally was able to move up to 12th and pick up a single point for that. But this is going to have a definite impact on his march to the championship. Alex Zanardi leads Jill DeFerrin, then Christian. We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC station.
When cars raced at an awesome 5 miles per hour, Mobil Oil was there. When a race car broke 100, Mobil was in it. Mobil was in the winner of the first race across America. And since then, Mobil has been in more Indy 500 winners than any other oil in the history of Indy. So if you think that all oils are alike, think about something. At Mobil, we've been changing oil for over 125 years.
Enter the Performance Zone with split-fire Performance V spark plugs.
You get your passing gear, you're gone.
The difference in gas mileage has been fantastic.
Split-fire Performance V spark plugs mean better performance, more horsepower, and better mileage. So say the experts and the people who use them.
They're the best plugs I ever put in my car.
Enter the Performance Zone, only with split-fire Performance Vs, guaranteed.
Sunday, while the other networks give you the same old rerun around, ABC's got Alec Baldwin, Kim Basinger, Paul Reiser, and Elizabeth Shue in a network television premiere, The Marrying Man, ABC Sunday.
Craig T. Nelson in a powerful drama.
All I want to do is spend a little time with your son, just get to know him.
With the help of a sick boy, a man changed his life.
You ever get scared?
Yeah.
The heartwarming story, Ride with the Wind.
This Monday on ABC.
Of the top 5 luxury cars in the world, only one was chosen as a Consumer's Digest Best Buy for 1996. Lincoln Town Car. And now, Lincoln Town Car can be yours for just $4.99 a month for 24 months with only $9.99 down. Just $4.99 a month and $9.99 down to lease the luxurious Lincoln Town Car. Plus, current Lincoln owners can get an additional $500 in owner loyalty savings. But this offer ends soon. See your Lincoln dealer now.
Imagine reinventing the way people look at cars. Once again, the all-new 1996 Mercury Sable. The best-selling Mercury's been totally reinvented. Good-looking outside with more room than ever inside. And now, save on Mercury Sable with its great low lease payment or reduced rate financing. Drive Sable at your Lincoln Mercury dealer now.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury now.
Ted Koppel, only on 28 Tampa Bay.
The Budweiser 200. Brought to you by Mobil Motor Oil. At Mobil, we've been changing oil for over 125 years. Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Restore, manufacturers of innovative products for your car and truck. And Splitfire. Enter the Performance Zone with Splitfire Performance V spark plugs.
Next Sunday on ABC Sports, it's 2 great auto racing events. First at 3 Eastern, 2 Central and Pacific. We'll head to the lakefront in Ohio for the Cleveland IndyCar Grand Prix. And then from Talladega Superspeedway, it's the second test of the International Race of Champions. That's all next Sunday here on ABC Sports. On board, Stefan Johansson, 11th place. Johansson works the front stretch. Parker Johnstone is his target. Jasko and Scott Pruitt off the course again.
Boy, he's having a tough weekend, and one that looked so good, so promising.
And you saw that fight for the lead come by, Zanardi and then DeFerrin. Though there is a considerable separation there, it still gave you an idea, and everybody's locking the brakes, the light side of the car, as they come into this corner.
Well, it's a little bit rough down there. They've got pretty stiff chassis to make them work around here. The springs are pretty tough, and they're trying to pass in that area. Everybody's trying to go in deep. It's pretty hard not to lock one up.
On board third place, Christian Fittipaldi. That bright yellow car, 2 cars up. That's what his target is. That's second place to Farron. And there's Jeff Krosnoff, who was just ahead of Christian Fittipaldi. New paint job on that number 25 car, along with that new sponsor that they announced at Milwaukee. Well, that looks terrific. That's a nice paint job.
It looks real good.
Now we'll go on board Christian Fittipaldi as he chases down Gilles de Ferran. Continues to work. Danny, is that what it sounds like in the cockpit?
Well, it doesn't sound that quiet. And the other thing that I noticed in there, it doesn't sound like those engines are revving very high, when in fact he's turning probably almost 14,000 RPM. That's quite a muffled sound there. It's a lot noisier than that, and some guys like to put bigger earplugs in so they don't hear it as much, but I like to hear the revving of the engine.
How much do you actually use that as opposed to the instruments? Do you get accustomed where you know a certain noise level is a certain rev?
Well, you're pretty accurate there, but really what happens is when you've been driving this around all weekend, you've got a pretty good idea where the shift point is. Now, if you're racing somebody really close and you're trying to get the maximum RPM and shift exactly right, then you'll look down at your instrument so you get it exactly accurate. But don't forget, they also have yellow lights and red lights on the steering wheels and on the dash to show you what the shift position is. So you even don't have to look down at your dashboard.
Scott Pruitt's, all right, his day is just, he can't do anything right, it seems. Every time they try to get going, something else is wrong, and they pull the car into the pit, and this time it looks pretty serious as the rear cowling comes off the car.
I'm not sure what happened to him the way he was stopped down there, and he came in pretty slow, but obviously the safety crew got him going again. But when anytime you're taking the cowling off or unbuckling him, you got a major problem.
Now they're back looking at the part of the car that he crushed this morning, and they had to make all the replacement to. So Alex Zanardi still the leader. Gilles de Ferran is about 17 seconds back. So either Zanardi is very comfortable where he is and is a little bit off of 100% and just cruising, or de Ferran may in fact now be closing on him. Christian Fittipaldi is chasing de Ferran pretty hard, and that may be giving some impetus to de Ferran to try to close as fast as he can now. There is the leader of the race. That's Zanardi. We look up into the corner and wait for de Ferran. And it'll probably be a little bit of a wait. There he comes with Christian Fittipaldi right behind him. Interesting, there is Michael Andretti, Fittipaldi's teammate, just ahead of him. Wonder if team order has become in effect at this point.
Well, Michael's pretty professional. He knows that he lost a lap or two early on in the race. He knows he's down, and he'll be warned by his pit that those guys are racing for a position. Now, if anything, he might hold up Gilles de Ferran a little bit and let Christian close in on him, but he's not going to want to hold up traffic too much.
Michael, the black car, is down one lap, runs 12th. Again, great pictures give you a good idea of the relationship from the Honda Helicam. And it looks like it can fly a little bit higher, which is an indication that maybe the rain is going to stay away. Certainly, the sun is now shining on every section of the race course.
Well, and of course, right there, Gilles de Ferran is in that bright yellow car, trying to and Christian is in the bright red one. But they're not exactly closed that much up on Michael. I mean, he's not exactly right under his gearbox trying to find a way by.
A couple of laps ago, Michael was actually turning some of the faster laps in the race.
Yeah, and I believe Michael's actually up to pretty far up to, I think he's 12th, which puts him actually in the points.
So the fair end gets past. Now we'll see if Christian can get past him while we're watching that.
Michael moved right over right there. He just moved right over when he pulled left there to let Christian go.
All right, let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, it all started on Friday afternoon in qualifying for Scott Pruitt when he blew an engine, and then it's been downhill ever since then. What finally put you out of the race, Scott?
Well, we had a little incident this morning. I got off track and put it in the guardrail. The guys did a great job getting it back together, but something's just wrong. I mean, from the start of the race, I was really fighting something on the left rear corner of the car, and it just kept up. I just kept having a lot of problems getting off the track, and finally just decided, hey, something's really big going wrong, so take a look at it and come back to Cleveland.
Well, he'll be at Cleveland, and he will be a factor. You can count on that.
Well, one of our stories of the day, of course, was Pruitt's problems, which only succeeded in getting worse and worse and finally took him out of the run. Another of the pressure points, and with Jimmy Vasser having his problems early on and sitting in 20th position, the battle for the championship is most certainly going to heat up here. And Michael Andretti, unless he can unlap himself, is not going to perform the hat trick that he had hoped for here with 3 in a row. 57 of the 98 laps are complete. Alex Zanardi is the leader. DeFerrin and Fittipaldi are beginning what should be a terrific battle for second place. It has been one for the past few laps. We'll be back.
Okay, world, everyone's got to add something to the party. Mexico, you've got the salsa. Tahiti, sunsets, about 2 weeks worth. France, ooh la la, we'll get back to you, France. Greece, you're off the hook. You started the whole thing. Malaysia, yeah, some of those. Norway, you're in charge of the ice. Us, we've got the Bud World Party during the '96 Summer Games.
"27 championships in 13 years, and we still look for ways to improve our truck after every race. When it comes to winning, nothing stands in our way.
A car engine has as little as 1/1000th of an inch of motor oil protecting its parts. But friction and heat can make motor oil become volatile and vaporize, weakening its ability to protect vital parts. Texaco Haviland Formula 3 is formulated to control volatility, fight vaporization, and provide complete engine protection, no matter what you drive.
Add more life to your car. Take it to the star.
After dueling at Daytona, they're ready to tangle at Talladega. The International Race of Champions continues next Sunday on ABC Sports.
As we officially start summer here in Portland, they do it with the Rose Festival. Nice, big, historic parade, lots of floats, the Grand Floral Parade, they call it, and dragon boat racing. And this race here, the Budweiser 200, is part of that ongoing festival that kicks off the summer season. 4th place, Bobby Rahal. He's going to have a nice day out of this one. It looks like some of the work they've been doing with their cars is about to pay off.
Yeah, and you know he has to have been disappointed because he qualified 18th and his teammate 4th. So he had to have been a little frustrated. Now he's up there battling. He's doing a good job, and he made some smart moves in those wet conditions and jumped up a lot of spots.
With Andre Ribeiro sitting right there behind him, that is the 5th place car. At the same time, nothing's changed in that fight between Christian Fittipaldi and Gilles de Ferran. They are still working on one another, but no one seems to be able to get the advantage. So at Portland International, it's Alex Zanardi, the leader once again. Gilles de Ferran and Christian Fittipaldi continue to battle, and there is a battle between this car, the 4th position of Bobby Rahal, and right behind him is Andre Ribeiro as Rahal tries Mauricio Guzman. Gary Gerald?
Well, we were talking in our pre-race show over on ESPN2 about new body pieces on Brian Herta's car. Well, obviously, Bobby Rahal also has some of that same new wind tunnel work that deflects the air around the rear wheels from the side pods. But Brian Herta had a new front wing that Rahal did not. I asked Bobby about that. I said, you're the boss. Why don't you have the new piece? He smiled and says, I've got something else new. Then he told me that it had to do with the front suspension. It's not something cosmetic that you could see. Wouldn't tell me any more than that. Rahal has done a terrific job starting way back in this field to be up here in the top 5.
But I tell you what, whatever he's got on there, I'd keep it. I think it's working. You're on board Christian Fittipaldi. It's Eddie Lawson just ahead. And for the moment, it's broken off his battle. Michel Jourdain gets off and into the gravel. Is this potential full course yellow here?
Well, they don't like him to be out there in that gravel, but it's a fairly slow spot. He's not really dangerous. I don't know whether they'll leave him or not. That's, of course, Wally Dallenbach's call. But interesting that Michel Jourdain and Salazar, who both come over from Indianapolis where they did so well, have struggled over on this circuit to do well.
And here is that battle for second place as it comes back once again. They get around Eddie Lawson. First, Gilles de Ferran gets around him, and then Christian Fittipaldi. Now Christian has just a little distance to make up, and he should be back on top of de Ferran. So this is the key battle on the circuit, but you know what? They're going to go to full course yellow.
Yeah.
Pace car will come out, and everyone will gather up. They do this on lap 62, so that should be absolutely ideal for the pit stops, or a little early.
Well, it's going to be marginal because, of course, we've got it. They were going to 31 to 35. This race is 98 laps. So they might not come in on the first lap of the yellow, but they might come in a little bit later.
Robbie Gordon already in as they change. And, of course, no question about what tires are going to go on this time. It'll be slicks all the way. Here comes Gilles de Ferran out of second place.
No question, everybody's going to look down there and look at all the people out there. I think you're going to see a lot of pit stops.
So de Ferran makes his stop. And Jack Arut's right there.
A nominal stop, but they're standing by should he stall it once they take the fuel on. In answer to your question about whether it's the right window or not, de Ferran's team had anticipated coming in on lap 66. He pulled out nicely in front of Christian Fittipaldi, so by our reckoning, he should stay right at the front of the pack.
Yeah, those positions shouldn't change. Here's the leader of the race, Gary.
Well, they weren't worried about the window. They said their window here opened on lap 62, so they should be comfortable for the distance. And he had the luxury, of course, of that big lead. But now for the first time today, we're going to see this new IndyCar rule go into effect. This is a very fine stop by the target team. Zanardi back out. But that big lead is going to be gone when we get ready to go green.
Now, 60-mile-an-hour speed limit on all races except the ones run at Michigan now. As Zanardi comes back onto the course, he'll have to line up behind the pace car. And what they are doing now, they did it first in Detroit 2 weeks ago and will continue here today. You can see him trying to get Michel's car out of that gravel pit. They will line up in race order. In fact, it's very simple the way they do it. They just tell the teams, take a look at your scoring monitor in the pits and radio your cars to align that way. So when they come back to green, they will be in the race order. Should make for a good fight.
This Ford Fact is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealers. Have you driven a Ford lately? In this age of computer technology, just about everything that moves on an Indy car is tracked by a computer. Around this chassis, there's over 20 different sensors to track exactly what happens on the racetrack. A few examples: a tube to measure the airspeed, a sensor on the wheel then to compare that airspeed to wheel speed. The height of the car is actually tracked by a laser sensor to show exactly how high it is off the ground, and then the all-important tire pressure sensor to actually sense the tire pressures of all four tires. Now that information from the front of the car is coupled with the sensors from the rear and from below the seat and fed into this black box. As the car comes into the pits, that information then is downloaded into a portable computer for review by the team. Now here's the big question for 1997. It can cost as much as $100,000 to outfit a car with the latest data acquisition. But in an effort to save money, IndyCar is considering banning some of these systems. Many teams feel, however, that by saving $100,000 on computers, they might spend more money running more test miles to get the same information.
These days, you're working harder than ever. You need a truck that does, too.
Don't move.
Introducing the all-new 1997 Ford F-150. With even more horsepower and torque, and all the legendary strength of an F-Series.
Better get to the Grand Canyon before we do.
The all-new Ford F-150.
Target teammates, Alex Zanardi and Jimmy Vasser.
Alex? Hey, there's nobody better. I mean, he was born to drive.
I'm new to the Target team, but Jimmy has made me feel right at home.
Alex is the fastest thing on four wheels. Really.
Words cannot describe how I feel about Jimmy.
Hi, we're not home right now. We just got a new jet ski STS watercraft. We'll call back just as soon as we get home.
The jet ski STS. It's got all the power, handling, and stability a family needs.
It's your mother. How come you never call?
Firehawk, born at Indy, driven everywhere.
Damon Hill takes his commanding driving points lead into the Formula One Grand Prix of France. That's live next Saturday at 7:50 in the morning Eastern Time on ESPN2.
Wave by.
Shitting me. Now, Michael Andretti, as we ride on board.
I really screwed up. Son of a bitch.
As Michael Andretti has not had a last couple of laps that have been good. Let me try to indicate what happened. They had Michael, and they told him not to come in. And apparently they thought that he was going to be able to pick up a lap because they thought the leader was coming in. Leader didn't come in. They kept Michael out. And in doing that, then IndyCar officials closed the pits. And so Michael is stuck out there now, and he has not been happy in his conversation with the team pit side. So they really didn't help Michael's cause at all there.
No, and of course, when he does do it, he'll have to drop to the back of the pack, and that'll make it much more difficult for him to gain any more of those spots from 12th, what he was running.
Well, remember, they will come back in race order. Michael was sitting in 11th place at the time. There you go. You look down through the order, and Michael's there now, but of course he's going to have to come in for fuel. He's had this nice run after overcoming the problem early on, works his way back up here, and that's a good example where the tactics between driver and pits can really be very costly to the driver.
Yes, and Michael was actually going down the pit lane, and they said, stay out, and he dove back around the barrier and got back into position.
Now we'll continue to listen to Michael's radio, and the officials are now reporting green this time by, so Michael's going to have to come into the pits under a green flag. So you think he's going to be any happier about that one?
No, and he's going to lose a lot of ground under that.
Can I pit? Can I pit?
Michael Andretti at Portland.
Take the green and then pit. Pit at the end of your first lap.
Michael, with some terrible problems now. They're ready to go to green flag racing. He was headed into the pits. The crew steered him out when he thought he should be in. Turns out he was right. And now he's going to have to make a stop from 11th place into the green. They're lined up in race order. Christian Fittipaldi moves to the inside, looks for room as Bobby Rahal comes sweeping in behind Christian. So everybody tight once again. Zanardi using the clear course to get away just a bit. Restart comes on lap 67 of 98.
Paul, everybody should be fueled and ready to go to the end, provided they don't have any problems. The tires, everything, so we should see a race all the way to the end.
And there is the advantage of being the leader on a restart. You can pace the restart the way you want it, and it gives you an advantage for one lap, if not for a couple. Christian Fittipaldi, who had been working on Gil de Ferran, is now back at it, but this time, with the yellow flag closing the field up, he has both Bobby Rahal and Mark Blundell closing in. So what was not a battle now is one, and it battles 4 different ways. And in fact, you got a glimpse there of Emerson Fittipaldi as he moves into the fight as well. And Al Unser Jr. and Michael Andretti comes into the pits, Gary, finally.
Well, I'll tell you, all the good luck this team has enjoyed, winning 3 of the last 4 is going right out the window in the last 4 minutes. And you talk about one red-hot race driver. We heard some of the radio conversation. He is smoking in the pits. He's out of here in 13.7 seconds, but the damage is done.
Yep, and probably deservedly smoking. He put on a good show coming up to 11th place after the trouble early. He maintains the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit out of the pits and rejoins the fray, but well behind the fight now. He drops off immediately 2 positions as he comes out of the pits, dropping back to 13th. Maybe the fact of lap cars will work to his advantage now, but he could have been back on the lap with the leader. There's Zanardi. A lead just under 2 seconds, 1.7.
But you can tell he's really got a well-handling car right now. Just the way he pulled away. You see all the field just pretty much lined up there equally, all nice spaced out. And he's got about a 2-second lead on the second place guy. That I know he got a jump at the restart, but that's also a great handling car right now.
Al Unser Jr. now beginning to work on Bobby Rahal. That fight is for 4th. And a good line of competitors just behind. Hoping maybe that one of the 2 of them make a mistake. It's Fittipaldi, then Ribeiro, then John Stone, then Mark Blundell, and then Robbie Gordon. And they're all lined up nose to tail now.
Don't forget, Al Jr.'s thinking a lot about points right now because he's right there, not that close to Jimmy Vasser, but close enough. And Jimmy Vasser is way behind and not much chance of scoring any points. So Al wants to make sure he gets some points.
Jimmy Vasser sits back 18th, 6 positions away from a point scoring position. Ahead of second place Gil de Ferran. Schuster just had a quick off and on the course. He's back in competition though. And there is the interval from the leader back to Gil de Ferran, and then Christian Fittipaldi, Bobby Rahal, Al Unser Jr., and Emerson Fittipaldi. 70 laps are complete. And Zanardi looks like he may be on his way to a win. We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
I get here early to stock up on Texaco Haviland Formula 3 motor oil because it gives my engine complete protection.
Me too.
Michael Andretti.
Texaco Haviland Formula 3 is formulated to control volatility and fight vaporization. And it's the same oil used by championship racing teams.
Empty. Tough track, huh?
Take it to the stars.
Get a Dream Team basketball with a 12-quart Haviland Formula 3 or 6-quart Haviland Synthetic Purchase.
Finding oneself alone in this world can be terrifying.
Poor thing, you must have fallen out.
I knew I must return him to his family to ensure he's consumed at optimum freshness.
I don't see him, do you?
Excuse me, he's lost.
Lost beer coming through.
You see him? We'll find him any minute. I can feel it. Excuse me. Don't give up.
Hey, who's missing a bottle? We got a lost bottle here.
Budweiser. Brewery fresh taste. Strictly enforced.
Don't worry, little fella. We'll find him.
Accept no substitutes. There's only one Superman. Lowe's and Clark, ABC Sundays.
ABC Wednesday.
Hey, we almost forgot Grace's present.
Okay, but when you move your hand, you better have your pants on, y'all.
It's Grace's dream come true. Ta-da! A room of her own on Grace. Then, a world premiere comedy that's smokin'. Starring Robert Hayes and John Mendoza. The all-new comedy Guys Like Us. Right after Grace, ABC Wednesday.
Would you look at that? Good with an iron. Plays right to left. It's on your mind, it's on our cans. The Michelob Golfers 18-pack.
Not all the world's great luxury cars are conceived in Japan, or born under the autobahns of Germany, or grown up along the storied streets of Great Britain. Presenting the 1996 Lincoln Town Car, the world-class luxury car without the out-of-this-world price. Town Car was even named a Consumer's Digest Best Buy. And now you can lease Town Car for just $499 a month, only $999 down. That ought to put the imports back in their place. See your Lincoln dealer today.
Home improvement only on 28 Tampa Bay.
Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, U.S. Swimming gets tuned up for the Atlanta Games in the Santa Clara International Swim Meet. And the world's greatest bicycle race begins with the Tour de France, presented by the United States Postal Service. Plus, pro beach soccer from England. That's all Saturday on ABC Sports. Well, apparently, Hero has finally ended his day against the barrier. No damage to him, and hopefully the car is not damaged. He gives a quick waves to the fans. One of the nice things on the track here is that there are a lot of those mounds, and you can just throw out your picnic blanket and drop down and enjoy the race here in Portland. On board Parker Johnstone, he currently is trying to chase down the 7th place car of André Ribeiro. Nothing has changed at the front of the order, and that battle for 2nd place for the time being seems to have moved into a stationary battle. The line is narrowing just a bit. We see quite a bit of spent rubber, the marbles, just offline on the course. So at Portland, it is Alex Zanardi that is the leader. He has dominated this race. Gil DeFerrin was chasing him for a while, and Christian Fittipaldi was chasing DeFerrin. But as they flash across the start-finish line, for the moment, it is not a fight. At the same time, this is Parker Johnstone is trying to make a move on Ribeiro, and it's a battle for 7th place. So as we watch it, did Ribeiro just miss one there? Blundell also moving in there.
Don't forget, Mark Blundell is right there waiting to reap the rewards if those two guys mess up. He's right under Parker's gearbox right there.
And we'll stay watching this while we go to Jackaroot.
Well, another Brazilian, as we watch some of them show their promise out there on the racetrack, is out. Raul Boisel, what put you out of the race?
Well, it was a short day for the Brahma Sports team. You know, the engine just, without warning, went and just finished our day. So it's unfortunately, but the good thing race that we have a race in Cleveland next weekend.
A lot of consternation by the Ford teams. Ford does not seem to have stepped up to the plate in the competition against Mercedes and Honda.
Yeah, Ford came with a new engine this year, still in development stages, and I'm sure they'll get not only power but reliability pretty soon. That's what we need.
Paul, he wants to get to Cleveland so badly, he's already packed his bag and he's just waiting to cross the racetrack.
Unfortunately, he's also just scored his 5th DNF of the season. So Raul Boisel out of the race, showered, shaved, and on his way to Cleveland, which of course is in 1 week from today. Looking back from Parker Johnstone now. And that's Blundell trying to close in. And Stefan Johansson is next in the line, followed by Gordon, who currently runs 11th. There you're on board with Stefan Johansson. So onboard cameras bracketing this battle.
Every time you see his hand, right hand disappear down there, he just checked to make sure he had it in top gear, but he just goes down, and that's what they call a sequential gearbox, which means it's like a motorcycle. All they do is they just pull back on the lever. They don't have to actually find the gate or find the gear. They just keep pulling back, and when they want to go down to gear, they just push forward.
Let's move a little farther forward now. Bobby Rahal and Al Unser Jr. You're right, on board Rahal. He is currently 4th. Al Unser Jr. is just behind him.
Paul, one other thing that I should point out when they're shifting there is nobody uses the clutch on the shift. They just pull back, and in fact, when they're going up a gear, they don't even have to take their foot off the throttle. They can just hold it down. They've got all these electronics that control the engine when you shift.
So the clutch only to get away.
Only to get away.
Well, look how this battle tightens up. There's 2nd place to Barron, 3rd place Fittipaldi, and Blundell pulls out of the fight.
No, that's Emerson Fittipaldi in the left of your screen, going very slowly. He pulled out of the fight. He's got something wrong. He just pulled off there, checked in his mirror to make sure he could pull all the way across. His day's done.
Well, that's too bad. Emerson was having a good run. And all of a sudden, for a second there, I thought it was Mark Blundell that pulled out of this battle. That's why I thought it. I saw the move of the car coming over. And Blundell comes in. Why would he come in?
He must have had some kind of a tire problem or whatever for them to stop with only about 20 laps to go.
So Emerson Fittipaldi pulls by the wayside. That won't bring out a full course yellow, while Mark Blundell drops out of that battle and goes into the pits.
Just how long does a car battery last? About this much time is put into most batteries. But AC Delco puts in more time, so our batteries last over 20% longer. Well, now there's the Delco Freedom 84, our longest-lasting battery ever. We put in 7 years of guaranteed starts, making it the granddaddy of all batteries.
Hey, my watch! Wendy's crispy chicken nuggets are all white meat, and now you get 5 for only 99 cents. I see a lot of you getting them for your kids. Then I see you eating their nuggets when they're not looking. Come on, buy your own.
Get 5 Wendy's chicken nuggets, now just 99 cents every day.
If you're up early enough to have the road to yourself, driving can actually be fun.
My hot rod days are over, but I'm still more likely to pass than to be passed.
Sometimes on the weekends, my husband and I just like to kind of take off and lose ourselves in the beautiful scenery. If he's driving, west.
That way. I'm not.
That's very easy.
Now with $600 cash back, Ford Contour's just $14,730. Or get incredible 2.9% APR financing. Hurry, this offer ends soon.
Born at Indy, driven everywhere.
My brother told me to watch his chicken nuggets for a minute so no one eats them. But when someone gets nuggets, it's hard not to try one.
Now get 5 all-white meat Wendy's chicken nuggets for 99 cents.
Who ate my nuggets? Steve Thomas.
the race here in the Budweiser 200 is Alex Zanardi. DS timing shows that we are 6.1 seconds back to that bright yellow car of Jill DeFerrin, then Christian Fittipaldi, then Bobby Rahal, and then Al Unser Jr. We saw Emerson Fittipaldi pull over to the right side on the main straight, come to a stop at the pit exit, and the question, Jack, is why?
Well, you saw how quickly he pulled off to a stop and how he was out of the throttle because of the problem, Paul, a faulty gearbox. He's out for the day.
And he gets a quick interview with Brazilian television and a corner worker that is trying to say, hey, don't step out onto that racetrack. I think Emerson knows exactly where he's going. Al Unser Jr. makes a move on Bobby Rahal, picks up 4th place. So Al Unser Jr., who's just been stalking, just lurking behind Rahal, suddenly makes the move and comes around, picks up 4th. Christian Fittipaldi is his next target. Jr. moves out and around Bobby Rahal, picks up 4th place. Zanardi still the leader of the run, followed by DeFerrin and Christian Fittipaldi. Here's what happened.
Bobby looked like he went in, braked high, got out on the marbles, and little Al just dove up underneath him. That's a spot there where he just tried to go in a little too deep and got out wide. He did a good job of saving it, but of course he lost a spot in the process.
82 laps complete, 98 scheduled, and the further we go, the more that rubber moves out into those marbles and makes it much more difficult to get offline and to protect your position. So Bobby Rahal drops back to 5th, Gary.
Talking with Tim Cindric with the crew here just to see if there was any difficulty. He said the car maybe a little bit of an understeer. They're trying to pace themselves to finish. They want a top 5 finish. He said it just kind of slipped away from Bobby for a moment. No major problems. I think they're satisfied as they've been able to get up to the top 5 from so far back in the pack, but maybe a little frustrated they couldn't be even more competitive in the late laps.
Still 4 cars all lined up right together in a battle for 2nd place. DeFerrin, Fittipaldi, Unser Jr., and Rahal. Jack Emerson Fittipaldi finally comes down a little closer into the pit area. What was his problem?
Well, I'll tell you what, Brazilian TV can go out on the racetrack, but I'll wait for Emo to get to me. We've documented the gearbox problem, but it just seems to be problem after problem for your team this year. How frustrating is it for you, Emo?
Well, Jack, I was very pleased with the performance today. When it was rain, I moved up to 4th place, and then I was catching Junior now. I could stay with the leaders, and then the gearbox, I had a problem. It's a shame, but the car is running much stronger now. I hope to do well next race.
When you have bad luck, the litany that you've had this year, how tough is it for the driver to stay focused?
Well, I think we are focused now. I mean, that was one of the best performances this year. I mean, I did the second quickest lap of the race, and I'm happy and looking for a good race in Cleveland.
Off to Cleveland.
And there's his nephew, Christian Fittipaldi, running 3rd, chasing DeFerrin.
Now, you know one thing I love about Emerson, I've raced against him, he's always got a good, positive attitude. You know, he has things go wrong. It hadn't been a great season for him. And, you know, he's still standing there smiling. And, you know, and this guy's done it all. I mean, he's a 2-time world champion, 2-time IndyCar champion, 2-time Indianapolis 500 champion, won all over the world. Just one of the great, great race drivers of all time.
Yeah, and may become a grandfather this weekend.
Yeah, that's what.
And very proud of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, he loves his kids, and I'm sure he'll be a great grandfather.
Christian Fittipaldi, perhaps not as well liked at the moment as a member of the family. He's still on circuit while Emerson is out, and Christian is trying to catch Jill DeFerrin. There's the leader. There's DeFerrin. There's Christian. There's Al Unser Jr. Bobby Rahal has fallen back a bit.
Well, if what Bobby's guy says is true, too, and he's just trying to, you know, finish. He's got about 13 laps to go. He's going to be sitting there. He's trying to pace himself. He knows he can't get by little Al or catch him. He just doesn't want to lose the spot to Parker Johnstone.
So 85 laps are complete in the run here in the Budweiser 200. It looks like it just may be Alex Zanardi's day for his very first win in an IndyCar. Still, there's some time to go.
We'd like to take a few seconds to show you something you don't see very often. Mechanics working on a Honda.
As little as 1/1000th of an inch of motor oil separates your car's engine parts, but friction and heat can make motor oil become volatile and vaporized, weakening its ability to protect expensive parts. Texaco Haviland Formula 3 controls volatility, fights vaporization, and provides complete engine protection, no matter what you drive.
Add more life to your car. Take it to the star.
Get a Dream Team basketball with a 12-quart Haviland Formula 3 or 6-quart Haviland Synthetic purchase.
With new spark plugs, you get improved performance for a while. But only Bosch Platinum has a pure platinum center electrode that's heat fused. So Bosch Platinum reaches its self-cleaning temperature faster for full engine power and improved fuel efficiency over a longer performance life. Which means you'll replace a lot of other things before you change your Bosch Platinums. Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
Connors, McEnroe, Jimmy and Mac are back, and they're ready to raise a racket. Coverage of the challenge presented by Quality Inns begins July 6th on ABC Sports.
More racing for you as Bobby Rahal gets in trouble, just comes right off the course.
You know what? That's in the same spot where he lost the position to Al Jr. And he just got passed there by Parker Johnstone. He must be having a problem and get out on those marbles. I don't know what it is, but that's the second time he's lost a spot in that position.
Well, next Sunday, 1 week from today, we'll have more racing for you here on ABC Sports. First of all, it will be the Cleveland IndyCar Grand Prix at the Burke Lakefront Airport in Cleveland, Ohio. And then from Talladega Superspeedway, it's the second test of the International Race of Champions. That's all next Sunday, right here on ABC Sports. So Bobby Rahal, a quick off and on, and as we look at it again, maybe we can figure out what happened, Danny.
Well, he's in that same spot where he was leading little Al. He comes back, he's in the track there, he goes in, he brakes, the car just comes back out a little bit, under braking. He was trying to get in too deep, locked up those rear tires. Smart move, kept it under control, went on the grass, got it back on. But unfortunately, he dropped down another spot.
You hop off the brakes just as you're coming off the grass? That's what it looked like.
Just as you're going onto it, so it doesn't lock him up and spin the car around on the grass.
So Bobby Rahal, who was in a good position, now drops down to 6th place as Parker Johnstone moves into 5th. Al Unser Jr. is still 4th. Gil DeFerrin has just flashed across the line, completing his 89th lap. So we're counting down into the final 10 laps of this race now. Alex Zanardi is still the leader. And if he continues his lead to the finish, then he will join Al Unser Jr. as another driver who scored his very first win here at Portland.
And of course, if Bobby continues, those cars that you saw, that's him right there, all those cars that were lined up behind him, those are all for spots. So they're trying to close down on him.
So Bobby at this point has to feel a little vulnerable. He's twice had the same problem.
In the same spot. So he's got to turn the wick up a little bit here and drive harder for these last 10 laps.
Coming back up to the front of the field, Alex Zanardi is still the leader by 8 seconds. There is Zanardi's bright red target car. And you look 8 seconds back, that bright yellow car, that's the Pennzoil car of Gil DeFerrin, followed by Christian Fittipaldi, and then Al Unser Jr. Gary?
Alex Zanardi, of course, Paul, is visiting Portland for the very first time. He's a man who makes his home in Monte Carlo, which has to be considered one of the glamour spots of the world. But he has absolutely fallen in love with this part of the Pacific Northwest this week. He said he loves the beaches he had a chance to visit, the forests, the mountains that are snow-capped. He said, I'd like to live here. He wins this race. He may move in next week.
Well, he can certainly afford to. Al Unser Jr. working on Christian Fittipaldi. You got a glimpse of Roberto Moreno's car off the course. He's abandoned that car, and so he is out of the run. When we come back, can Alex hold on to the checker?
Firehawk, born at Indy, driven everywhere.
For cars that can benefit from higher octane, Texaco Clean System 3, Power Plus, and Power Premium gasolines are formulated to clean your engine's intake valves, fuel injectors, and combustion chambers while you're driving. For smooth starts and sure acceleration. Just give us 5 tanks. And you may feel like you've left your old car behind.
Oh, add more life to your car. Take it to the star.
The Budweiser 200. Brought to you by Texaco Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. Controls volatility and fights vaporization. Honda, who offers an impressive family of cars, sport utility vehicles, and minivans. Firestone, America's tire since 1900. And Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
6 laps to go at Portland. Alex Zanardi is the leader. Al Unser Jr. really anticipates the possibility of getting around third place Christian Fittipaldi. He has been all over him the last couple of laps, and you can see too that they together, Christian Fittipaldi and Al Unser Jr., are closing down on DeFerrin.
I don't know if Al really thinks he can get by. He's running a little wide there, but what he's trying to do is stay all over Christian and force him into a mistake like he did earlier with Bobby Rahal. I think he just wants to, you know, keep there, let him know he's there, that Christian's got to keep going and see if he can make something happen toward the end of the race.
Well, at least once he was able to pull up and tuck the nose almost underneath the rear wing of Christian Fittipaldi. He's dropped back now. Look at that interval. It registers in at 10.1 seconds on the EDS scoring computer. The interval first to second. And Christian is definitely closing on DeFerrin.
But again, with 5 laps to go, what everybody's thinking right now is how fast do I have to go to stay in front of that guy and consolidate my position. They know they probably can't pass the guy with this. They've been trying all day long and haven't made any headway. They just want to, you know, consolidate their spot and make sure they don't make a mistake for that guy behind them to get by.
Well, with the rain and everything here today.
Well, now, sorry, Paul, but now it looks like Christian's pulled away from Little Al and going after DeFerrin a little bit.
Yeah, but DeFerrin and Christian have kind of maintained approximately the same interval through there. You wonder if Little Al doesn't have something wrong. Now the interval widens again. Just a bad corner for DeFerrin, or?
Well, or Little Al got some stuff. He ran wide in a couple of those corners. Maybe he picked up some marbles on his tires. You know, the buildup from the tires that has fallen off and dropped back a little bit. But
I was about to say, because of the rain and the length of the run here today, we're about to run overtime, and it does not appear that we are going to get an interview with the winner of the race, as we'll have to return you to local programming. But Alex Zanardi looks like he may be on his way, and we will certainly run right to the checkered flag here. 4 laps to go. Zanardi's lead loses a second to Jill DeFerrin.
But again, Paul, what's happening is Zanardi knows he's got a very comfortable lead. He knows how well his car is handling. What he's doing now is being conservative those last couple of laps, just not to make a mistake and throw it all away.
Alex Zanardi, his second pole of the season, and this time it may result in a victory. In fact, at Rio, we thought he may be on his way to a victory there. Did I just see a puff of anything that mattered? Looked like I saw a little haze that may have come out of the back of Christian's car. And I don't see it now.
Well, I can tell you one thing, even if every warning light on his dash came on right now, he'd drive that thing till the end, till 3 laps to go. He wouldn't worry about that. He's going to drive it right to the finish.
Christian Fittipaldi closes once again on Gil DeFerrin. What I saw must have just been a mirage, because it looks like he is fully under power now without any problem whatsoever. Reaches out, pulls the tearaway off the helmet. Christian Fittipaldi still chasing DeFerrin. And Zanardi is still losing his lead position just a bit. Lost 2/10 on that last lap. Hey, there's Joe Montana, part of the Chip Ganassi team. And you know what? Every time he shows up at a race, the team wins.
I think I'd make sure he got here at every race if I...
Yeah, but does that explain something from football? I mean, it really wasn't a team effort. It was just Joe. You show up, you win.
I'm sure everybody wishes that it was that easy, but Zanardi's dropping a couple of tenths there, but he's just driving very conservatively. He's got 2 laps to go. He knows those guys can't close it down. Even if they did, they'd still have to find a way to pass.
Now the sun begins to shine on Zanardi. He'll see the white flag indicating 1 lap to go next time by, Gary Gerald.
You mentioned Joe Montana. It's funny, back in that brief rain shower we had when so many teams were trying to decide, should you go to the rain tires, stay on the slicks? Joe Montana was the only unflustered, unruffled guy down here. He was walking around, wasn't looking for cover, didn't need an umbrella. You could almost see him saying, hey, what's a little sprinkle to a guy who used to play for the big bucks in the rain? He's got another winner here going today, no question.
So as Alex Zanardi starts his final lap, we'll continue to track those battles behind the lead of the race. And Zanardi, looking for his very first win in the Indy cars, comes out of Formula One. Has a faltering start the first race of the season, sits on the pole at Rio, and finally looks for a win. There's second place. And third place, Christian Fittipaldi, with Al Unser Jr. well back now. None of the top 4 in contest. Parker Johnstone sits in 5th position, followed by Ray Hall, then Ribeiro, then Mark Blundell, then Stefan Johansson, and Robbie Gordon. But here's the man of the hour as he makes the final turn around the carousel here and on to the main stretch. And Alex Zanardi, as he looks ahead, takes it way over to the right and then comes over to take the checkered flag, as Alex Zanardi has taken the win here. And they all come over and off the edge of the course as they finish. There's the standings. We gave them to you on the final lap. They remain the same. Zanardi, Ferrin, Fittipaldi. Looking down through unofficial results here, and if he hot puts it around, maybe we will have a chance to talk with Alex Zanardi, but he becomes the second first-time winner. Both of them at the time were driving for Ganassi. Zanardi today and Al Unser Jr. earlier. Going back to last year, he is the 5th first-time winner in the last 14 races. Now let's take a look at the points now. While the teammate to this car, Jimmy Vasser, still remains in the points lead. But boy, it has closed down substantially, and Jimmy Vasser is losing ground quickly. Michael Andretti with a good run, not what he had hoped for, but still, he remains in the fight here today.
Well, he's got to feel just ecstatic, right? I mean, what a feeling right now. And I think that I've got to pick Alex Zanardi as Sully's star. He did a great job. Pole position, was fast all weekend, had never been here, and drove absolutely faultless race.
So Alex Zanardi is going to roll to a stop, and hopefully he will come to a stop quick enough that we can get word with him. Jack Arute is right there as Alex Zanardi comes flying around the corner and into the winner's circle. He knows exactly where it is. Jack Arute.
He certainly does. Shuts the engine off. He's going to try and get out of it. We're going to try and get a quick word, get things disconnected here. Alex, congratulations.
Well, it feels great. I'm so happy for the Target team, for everybody. Chip Ganassi, Moritz Nunn, all the guys that did an amazing job this weekend, and it feels great.
It certainly was an amazing run. He started on the pole. He ran so well. And today, he's victorious here in Portland. a road course, a Formula One veteran. And on behalf of Paul Page and the rest of the crew here, Danny Sullivan, Gary Gerald, I'm Jack Arute saying so long from Portland.
Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, members of our Olympic swim team prepare for the games at the Santa Clara International Swim Meet. And the world's greatest bicycle race gets rolling. The Tour de France presented by the United States Postal Service. Plus Pro Beach Soccer from Liverpool, England. Now stay tuned for your local news and World News Sunday over most of these ABC stations. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.
Looking for something seriously funny? Well, expose yourself to this. Hey, is that Jason Alexander from Seinfeld? It is! Hey, George, nice hair.
Yeah.
It's a grown-up comedy.
Does anyone have a glass of water?
No, he's mutton extremely short.
That'll make you quiver. Join Sandra Bullock on an all-new Muppets Tonight, followed by videos ABC Sunday.
If man were meant to fly, he would have been born with a 32-valve, 280-horsepower Lincoln Mark 8. His other alternative is leasing one, Lincoln Mark 8, just $4.99 a month.
Not all the world's great luxury cars are conceived in Japan, or born under the Autobahns of Germany, or grown up along the storied streets of Great Britain. Presenting the 1996 Lincoln Town Car, the world-class luxury car without the out-of-this-world price. Town Car was even named a Consumer's Digest Best Buy. And now you can lease Town Car for just $499 a month, only $999 down. And that ought to put the imports back in their place. See your Lincoln dealer today.
On Home Improvement, a bird's driving Tim batty.
What are you gonna do?
Get rid of that wood. And Tim's gonna need a wing and a prayer.
I'm the denominator.
How many ways can you say bye-bye, birdie?
That's a heat-seeking, beak-tweaking, shark-faced pecker-wrecker.
Do you think this thing is going to be safe?
Can Tim save his home, his family, and
my mother's teacup collection? Here's part of your mother's D-cup collection.
On Home Improvement.
Monday night at 7 on 28 Tampa Bay.
And now, 28 Tampa Bay News.
Good evening, and thanks for choosing 28 Tampa Bay News. I'm Linda Hurtado.
And I'm Doug Smith. Here's what's happening tonight. Dozens of passengers fastened their seatbelts and held on for their lives when a commuter plane made a crash landing at Orlando International Airport. Several employees were evacuated because of a chemical spill at Tampa General Hospital.
And the battle of animal rights versus medical research is heating up in the nation's capital tonight. But first, 2 young boys got sick at camp this weekend, and it's causing a scare across the state. The boys came down with meningitis at a Bible camp in Polk County. It happened at Camp Gilead in Polk City. Now that's just northeast of Lakeland. Don Germaze spent the day at the camp, and he joins us now live. So Don, what's going on out there?
Well, right now Camp Gilead is empty, Linda. It's supposed to be empty, as you said. It's a Bible camp, but it's only open Monday through Friday. Instead of going home on Friday, a couple of the kids actually had to go to the hospital. Basically what happened was they were inside this cabin right here. If you take a look, sorry about that bump. This is where they were, and somehow an outbreak of meningitis took place and has left campers and parents scared. Rhonda Heisel's son came home from Camp Gilead feeling ill on Friday night. So when the camp called her the next day and said 9-year-old Ricky might have been exposed to meningitis, Rhonda got worried.
I was just scared that, he would get really sick.
And your son complained about being sick?
Said he started feeling sick the night before, Thursday night, or Friday night.
That must have made you even more concerned.
Yes, it did.
Rhonda took her son to Winter Haven Hospital, where one of the victims was originally rushed. Doctors there call meningitis a scary disease.
It's a very serious disease that is, if it's not taken care promptly and the parents don't recognize what the symptoms are, it could be fatal.
Those symptoms include fatigue, loss of appetite, fever, headaches, and trouble breathing. Meningitis is an extremely contagious disease. There were 133 campers here last week, and 50 to 60 staff members. But the health department thinks only the boys who slept in cabin 2 with the victims are at risk. That's about 20 campers and 4 counselors. The problem is those boys come from all over the state and have already gone home. The camp has no idea which child may have spread the disease.
No, there's no way to know because somebody could have been a carrier, not had any symptoms, and so there's just no way of knowing. All the children were normal Monday morning.
The campers were all examined by a camp nurse when they got here last Monday. There was no sign of trouble. In fact, Camp Gilead has been teaching the gospel to campers for 58 years. This is the first time they've ever had anything like this. And the parents we talked to were very supportive of Camp Gilead. They said there's nothing the camp really could have done to prevent this. The health department has given Camp Gilead the okay to open up on Monday.
All right, Don, what do you know about the victims?
The camp is not releasing any names right now, but this is what we have been able to determine. There was an 8-year-old Winter Haven boy, and he was originally taken to Winter Haven Hospital, then transferred to St. Joseph's Hospital in Tampa. He is in guarded and stable condition. There is an either 8- or 9-year-old Lakeland boy who was originally taken to Lakeland Regional Medical Center and transferred to St. Joseph's All Children's Hospital in in St. Petersburg. And again, his condition is not being released right now.
All right, thanks a lot, Don. Let's hope they're okay. Winter Haven Hospital is so concerned about the meningitis threat that every employee who came in contact with the victims has been placed on antibiotics.
A commuter plane crash landed in Orlando this morning when the landing gear failed. This is video of the plane belly landing on the runway. The Comair turboprop let off a lot of sparks, as you can see, but fortunately there was no fire. When it finally came to rest on the runway, passengers ran from the plane. A few were hit with foam as firefighters hosed down the plane to prevent it from catching fire. Still, some passengers seemed to take it all in stride.
We knew there was something wrong with the aircraft when it started circling, and then they made the announcement that it was going to go down.
Was it bumpy when you came down?
It wasn't bad. In fact, I've been on rougher flights with a landing gear down.
There were 32 passengers and crew members on board. Nobody was hurt. The Comair commuter plane was coming from Nassau in the Bahamas. It appears hydraulic problems caused the landing gear to fail. Members of the National Transportation Safety Board are now in Orlando investigating the accident.
Well, Comair has 6 flights in and out of Tampa International Airport every day. Now, most of those flights go to Orlando. Robert Townsend joins us live now from TIA. So, Robert, what are some of Comair's customers saying about all of this?
Linda, I can tell you this afternoon, Comair Flight 3677 left TIA bound for Orlando. On board were a few uneasy passengers, but this may surprise you. Most of the people I talked to weren't even fazed by the emergency landing in Orlando. Now, I talked to these people just minutes before they boarded Flight 3677. Most of them were barely even talking about this. They didn't even know about the belly landing of Comair Flight 3599. But a few passengers, like Sandy Tepechka, was a little nervous. Her main concern was getting to her business trip in Orlando. What's going through your mind?
Praying. No, I just hope that doesn't happen. I didn't know about that. That's kind of scary.
So I'm more afraid of being on the interstates nowadays than in the airways.
Problems will occur from time to time, yes. But in spite of all the problems, I'm pretty well secure with it.
This is the first time I've flown Comair, and it's only because I had a change of plans, and this is the best Delta could do to get me home today.
Now, most of the passengers I talked to today were frequent flyers, more concerned with getting to their destinations than focusing on the Orlando mishap, Linda.
All right, they're taking it in stride. So, Robert, how does it turn out for Comair's last flight out of TIA look?
Well, that last flight leaves TIA around 8:30 tonight, and I can tell you a lot of passengers are already here, ready to take off.
All right. Now a little bit of background on Comair. The airline was founded in Cincinnati in 1977. They began with the connection with Delta Airlines in 1981. Comair serves 80 cities in 25 states and 3 countries. And according to a Comair spokesman we talked to today, they have only been under routine reviews by the FAA. ValueJet and Kiwi were under special review by the FAA that led to the complete shutdown of ValueJet and the partial grounding of Kiwi. Well, some scary moments over at Tampa General. A chemical spill caused an evacuation. Firefighters responded to the call this morning. 5 gallons of the chemical methanol spilled on the second-floor laboratory. Employees in the lab evacuated, but it took less than an hour to clean up and get everyone back in. Methanol is a chemical used to stain pathology slides so the pathologist can see what he needs to under a microscope.
State regulators are getting tough with restaurants that fail to meet health and safety standards. From now on, restaurants that violate health and safety codes will be promptly notified, and the media will also be alerted. 28 additional restaurant inspectors will be added statewide, and closed restaurants must now post a sign that says they were closed because of health and safety violations.
Astronauts on board the Space Shuttle Columbia say they're adapting very well in space tonight, but that's not necessarily good news. The astronauts say they've suffered little motion sickness on a mission to study just that. Queasy astronauts or not, the mission should shed light on all sorts of space ailments like motion sickness, flabby muscles, and sleep deprivation. Yesterday, members of the crew spent part of their time bending tree saplings as part of a different experiment.
The Florida Aquarium is swimming with star students from all over the Bay Area tonight. 28 Tampa Bay News helped sponsor the Sea Stars Student Reward Program. The event honors Bay Area kids for their outstanding academic achievement during the last semester. Kids who had an A average, perfect attendance, or a grade scale improvement in at least 3 subjects, well, they all got in free. All they had to do was just show their report card. Make their parents happy, too.
Sure enough. Well, animal rights activists are demanding tougher laws in the nation's capital tonight.
But their protest is meeting some opposition from AIDS activists. We'll show you why next.
And wildfires are raging in Utah. We'll take you there and show you what firefighters are doing to fight the flames.
And just take a look at what happened when a twister ripped a path through parts of New York. We'll have that story coming up a little later.
He was a champion. He's a fighting champion.
A promising life lost in a fatal car accident. 28 Tampa Bay News was with this grieving father as he said his emotional goodbye. Plus,
I was hanging out with the wrong crew.
Only 28 Tampa Bay News explored the life of a former gang member to show you why teens get into gangs and what a gangster's life is really like. 28 Tampa Bay News, working hard to be your favorite.
It's time to count down to savings with zero down at your Florida Jeep and Eagle dealer. Right now, you can lease Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo for zero down and $339 a month. Lease a Jeep Cherokee for zero down and $249 a month. And check out the all-new Jeep Wrangler. Come see the selection and climb aboard the Jeep experience for zero down at your Florida Jeep and Eagle dealer. But hurry, because time is running out. Lease a Jeep vehicle with zero down. See your Florida Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Butter Brothers smashes furniture prices with their gigantic remodeling and expansion sale. The walls are coming down, the carpet's coming up, and an entire showroom of furniture must go out the door. Living room, dining room, and bedroom furniture drastically reduced. All leather furniture, recliners, and entertainment centers sold out to the bare walls. Even a warehouse full of mattresses and Butter Brothers' famous electric beds priced for a complete sellout. Hundreds of items at near or below cost till everything's sold.
Now in Pinellas Park and Tarpon Springs. An unbelievable new Butter Brothers coming soon.
People around here are known for having a unique sense of style, tempered by rock-solid sensibility. So it's no wonder they find Ford Escort so appealing. And when your local Southern Ford dealer combines this kind of deal with the style and safety of America's best-selling small car, it's no surprise that more people discover Ford Escort suits their style without offending their sensibility.
See your local Southern Ford dealer and get $750 cash back on a new 1996 Ford Escort today.
This is 28 Tampa Bay News with Doug Smith and Linda Hurtado, Paul Conrad's weather, and Kyle Kraska's sports.
Thousands of animal rights activists marched through the nation's capital. They're protesting what they say is the cruel treatment of animals for research. Today's march attracted more than 40 animal rights groups. The marchers wore T-shirts and carried signs demanding tougher laws that would protect animals from medical testing. They plan to lobby Congress tomorrow. Some AIDS activists are denouncing the march. They say animal testing is needed to develop treatments for AIDS and other life-threatening diseases. These cyclists are rolling down the street to raise money for AIDS research. More than 3,000 bikers from across the country are pedaling from Philadelphia all the way to the nation's capital. Today was day 3 of their 250-mile trip. As of this afternoon, they had about 50 miles to go before reaching the nation's capital. All of the money raised will be donated for AIDS-related services.
Accused Unabomber Theodore Kaczynski is now in the Sacramento, California jail. He arrived today from Montana amid tight security. 7 security vehicles were in the caravan that brought Kaczynski to the county jail. Kaczynski has been indicted in Sacramento in connection with 4 Unabomber attacks. 2 of them were deadly. The jail is just a few blocks from the federal courthouse where Kaczynski will be tried. Lightning-sparked brush fires are a problem for the Bay Area during the summer, but in Utah, wildfires are burning up a popular recreation area. A dozen lightning-sparked fires are burning an 18,000-acre recreational area in west central Utah today. Firefighters are fighting the blaze with the help of water-dropping helicopters, fire engines, and 60 firefighters. At least 4 of the fires have burned together. The first blaze ignited on Friday.
Well, millions of people have seen the hit movie Twister.
But thousands of New Yorkers saw the real thing. We're going to take you there when 28 Tampa Bay News returns.
Imagine reinventing the way people look at cars. Once again, the all-new 1996 Mercury Sable. The best-selling Mercury's been totally reinvented. Good-looking outside with more room than ever inside. And now, save on Mercury Sable with this great low lease payment or reduced rate financing. Drive Sable at your Lincoln Mercury dealer now.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury now.
When the pressure and bloating of painful gas ties you in knots, don't make the antacid mistake. Take this little pill instead. Maximum Strength Phazine. There's more gas relief in one Phazine soft gel than in a whole bottle of regular Maalox. All this Maalox can't get rid of gas, but with the liquid medicine in just one Phazine soft gel, the gas is gone. Take Phazine, and the gas is gone.
Life is sweet. You want to savor every moment. And at Publix, we want to help you do just that. Now, isn't that food for thought?
Take a look at what a tornado did in South Bristol, New York. This pile of rubble used to be a mobile home. Severe storm Saturday brought death and destruction to a wide section of the Northeast, but this area was hit the hardest. Several homes, cars, a cemetery, and a vineyard were damaged. And you had a question for Paul.
Yeah, real mess up there. I wasn't sure that there were twisters up in that area, or at least I wasn't sure that they were all that common.
It's not in the tornado belt,
right?
But it is certainly a region that is capable of getting to those tornadoes, as most regions are.
Right. As ours is.
Well,
California,
California rarely gets them, but they had one maybe 2 months ago.
Is that right?
Every now and then you see them there.
They trade a twister for an earthquake.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I don't know which is better, a twister or an earthquake.
I don't know either. I wouldn't want either of them.
Yeah.
We had more nice weather around the Bay Area today, and at times we did see a little bit of rain.